In this video, I want to tell you why I think Games Workshop will never actually complete Kill Team. I know that sounds like a weird statement. Kill Team is out, you can buy it obviously, there's expansions for it. So why do I think it's not complete and it never will be? Well, there's two big assumptions I'm making here that you may not agree with, but hear me out. The first is basically echoing Tabletop Minions, which is Uncle Adam's channel, and a lot of other YouTubers that agree with him. And it's the fact that the compendium aren't real teams, they're just placeholder teams. It's that these teams are just really dumbed down, simple versions, and that they're meant to be replaced at some point. Like if you look at the new Intercessor Kill Team, I think almost everyone agrees it's just more interesting, and it's more powerful if you're a competitive player. Basically, none of the compendium teams are actually competitive, and in my personal opinion, most of them are pretty boring at this point. Like, some of them aren't too bad, but they're nothing like the teams we've gotten since release. The other assumption I'm making is Games Workshop is working off a 3-year replacement cycle, which is true for most of their games. Like, let's look at 40K, which is their main most popular game. 8th came out in June 2017. 9th came out July 2020, and the rumors are 10th edition will come out here soon, which would be about 3 years. And the game that's probably the best comparison for Kill Team is Warcry. Warcry is Games Workshop's fantasy skirmish game based off Age of Sigmar, and it's also on a 3-year cycle. And then if we look at Kill Team itself, there was the 2018 edition, and that was replaced by the 2021 edition, again 3 years. GW hasn't said they're replacing Kill Team in 2024, but I don't think that's the craziest assumption to make, looking at how they normally treat their games. So if we take the fact that the compendium teams aren't the real kill teams, and they're meant to be replaced at some point, and we look at the 3-year replacement cycle, we can do some math to figure out what I mean here. So I know there's a lot of different ways to break down the compendium teams into what their replacements would look like. But here's my rough guess on what that would look like. Like, for example, maybe you think Talons of the Emperor should be a separate Custodian team and a Sisters of Silence team. But at the same time, these separate Space Marine teams could be all combined into one team, like Tactical Marines and Heavy Intercessors go together. So this is rough. Nobody really knows for sure how they would do it. So each quarter we did a new set, which has 2 kill teams in it. We know Q2 of this year will have Gallowfall, which will be 2 new teams. And then, my decimation, looking at the 2024 replacement cycle, would be we have 1 more year, so a full season, which is 4 sets, of new kill teams. So we will have 8 teams beyond that. With the last edition of Kill Team with Pariah Nessus, it came out in February, and then the new Kill Team was released in August. Well, at least pre-ordered in August. So that is 6 months. So I think that lines up with my theory here pretty well. This means between now and Kill Team 2024, we will have 10 more Kill Teams released. So I know there are White Dwarf teams. I'm not ignoring that. But chances are some of these new teams will be original. Like, let's say Terminators or Inquisitors, something that wasn't a compendium team. So I'm guessing those will roughly cancel each other out. So let's say 10 new compendium kill teams. But if we look at my number before, we had 13 that need release. So looking at that, I'm guessing there will be at least 3 teams that just never get updated. So if you bought Kill Team, you looked at the compendium and thought, I can't wait for my team to be updated, never gonna happen. And then on the other side of that, if your kill team is the last team to be updated, and then they announce the new edition, you never really got to enjoy them. I know a lot of people think this isn't a problem, and that there's enough teams out there, and I basically agree with that. But in a lot of my videos where I'm talking about what teams I want to see in the future, or do homebrew teams, I always get people in the comments saying that they're waiting for their new team. That they're still waiting for Tau battle suits or whatever it is. So there are people that are still going to be disappointed. While it is sad to go through an entire edition of Kill Team and your team never get actually implemented, there are some things I think Games Workshop could do here that would help. The first one is push back their 3-year release cycle. I know I'm personally not sick of the core rules for Kill Team. It seems like it didn't come out that long ago. Like, this 3 years seems a little fast. This would give them another year to add in all of those teams, maybe do 1 or 2 original ones like Inquisitors, and basically keep everybody happy. So everybody gets to play their fashion while this edition is still relevant. But I doubt this will happen. The reason they do a 3-year replacement cycle is that there's always something new and fresh. Like, there's always a big release with a $200 set that they can sell, plus all the accessories and everything else. Just because they're a publicly traded company, they always have to have something, because a year with nothing new means that revenue drops and stock prices drop. I'm not saying this to hate on publicly traded companies, it's just how it is, so that's why I don't see them doing it. Like, the only way they would is if they have something else that's the size of a Kill Team release that they could replace. Like, they actually implement a brand new game. Or they change up something else and add in like a new Sigmar edition, which it's not due for one, but something along those lines. So there's 2 ways to fit in more teams. One is increase your timeline, which I already talked about, and the other is upping your release schedule, as far as your schedule for new teams. Obviously, with the big boss sets, we're not going to get one of those every other month. That would be a little insane. But because I'm only talking about compendium teams here, that means they already have models. You don't need to produce new models for them. So what they could do is just up the production of Kill Team in the White Dwarf magazine. They've done this before, and most people seem pretty happy with it, like the Intercessor team, or something like the Thousand Sons. There are some teams this would fit really well. Like, Deathwatch has a ton of weapon options, so they don't really need something like new models. Like, I did a homebrew video for them, and thought I made them quite a bit more interesting with the models they already have. And something like Custodians would be a good fit for this too. So the other way I think they could do this, and this would be a little bit more of a long shot, but something where they do a book and it has a bunch of teams in it. So something akin to the Elites book they did for the last edition of Kill Team, but instead of being Elites, it just updates a bunch of teams we already have. So my prediction of what will happen here is there will be teams that just fall through the cracks. Like, maybe we never get Custodians. Or I could see Chaos Demons just never getting a new team. And in my math earlier, that never accounted for World Eaters and Leads of Volton not having teams either. Which they don't even have compendium teams because obviously they came out after the compendium. While I do wish everybody got their team updated, I don't think it's as disastrous for Kill Team as it would be for a lot of other games. The reason is, Kill Teams are fairly cheap, so you can have multiple of them. Something like Warhammer 40,000, you normally have 1 army and that's it. Everyone I know has at least 3 or 4 Kill Teams, and because there's so many new original teams and they're really cool, most people have one of them, so chances are there's something you really enjoy playing. While maybe your Tyranid Warriors or your Deathwatch never got updated, chances are there's something you enjoy playing that you really like the lore of and the gameplay of. For me and my friends personally, we're still not bored of Kill Team, even though some of our teams have never been updated. Like, there's enough out there that's still fun to play, and I like to do the homebrew stuff, so we rotate those in as well. So there's plenty of variety. It is still a bummer though if your favorite team is still stuck as the compendium version. So in the comments, let me know if you think this actually matters or not. I know the community's kind of divided on it. Like, I'd like to see them get updated, but I don't think it ruins the game if they don't. Or maybe you think they will find a way to actually update it. So let me know, and thank you for watching.